Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
Getting a vaccine.
Anheuser-Busch announced that beer is on them on July the 4th. That's right. Get a shot and have a beer.
Dr. Fauci.
That the Chinese deliberately engineered something so that they could kill themselves? I think that's a bit far out.
I don't think he seems to be aware of the way it works in a communist government.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Maryland and Charlotte play at 6 o'clock tonight. So hotels in Greenville are booked and overbooked. In fact, I'd heard this morning that Kristi Noem's entourage is looking for a place to stay. You might host them there.
Yeah, we got a couple of extra rooms, don't we, Jake?
And we've got a full hour for you tonight to kick things off. We've got North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore. Tim, welcome in.
I'm good to be with you guys.
Good to have you, Mr. Speaker. It is this is a big deal for Greenville. I mean, the regional is a big deal, but to host the state convention and to host the president, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this will be his fourth trip to Greenville. I've lost count of how many times he's been to the state, but North Carolina is really on the front page of national politics. In fact, I was watching Fox News early this morning. Their promo for Fox News Sunday, not that I'm a Chris Wallace fan, but their promo was about the North Carolina State Convention and Donald Trump.
Well, you know, President Trump was consistently committed to North Carolina while he was president, paid special attention to our state. And of course, our state came through for him this last election in a very strong way in 16 as well as in 20. And I think it's very appropriate that he's here in Eastern North Carolina, which also went very strong for the president. Of course, Congressman Murphy represents this area in Congress and does an amazing job for all of this part of the state. So it's very appropriate that we're in Greenville and that the president's here to speak with us.
Well, we are honored, and we're happy that you're here. How many years have you been speaker now?
This is my fourth term, so I'm in my seventh year.
Wow.
As speaker.
When you were pre-speaker, just before you became speaker, you were down to Greenville. We had you on the program. It seems like it was about 2 weeks ago. That has gone fast.
Time flies. I had a lot less gray hair then. I'll say that too. So I think being speaker ages you like dog years or something. You know, like maybe 7 for every one at this point.
It's got to be a little frustrating for you. We've got the House, we've got the Senate, and yet we've got a governor in there that seems to want to veto about everything that comes across that is not Democrat backed, and it's got to be somewhat frustrating. But you are getting some things done, and we were talking before we went on the air that you've actually gotten some things done this spring that look like they might be veto proof.
So we did. We passed a very strong bill yesterday to get North Carolina back to work. It would stop the federal unemployment that right now is a huge disincentive to folks going back to work. You not only in Greenville, but everywhere, you can ride around and you can see help wanted signs everywhere you turn.
We were talking just before we went on the air to host tomorrow night's event with the president. They needed 200 waiters. 2 weeks ago, they had 15. And I know the woman who is overseeing the whole event was literally saying she was on her knees praying for help. That's how short we are on help. Now, this bill, the Putting North Carolina Back to Work Act, primarily what this is going to do is tell the governor to tell the federal government, quit sending these monies down here that are keeping our people at home instead of in the workplace.
It does. It stops it. It gives that incentive for folks to go back to work. 25 other states have done this already. So it does that. One of the concerns that was raised by a number of members had to do with those folks who could not find childcare. You know, like if a single mom there, what's she going to do to find childcare? So we put in $250 million to fully fund the wait list for childcare for the next 3 years.
Wow.
So that excuse is gone. The other things the bill did was that it would treat the Paycheck Protection loans that were done similar to the federal tax law, which would mean that businesses get those tax free. Unfortunately, right now, North Carolina is still taxing that and taxing those deductions.
Now, the House passed that part of the bill.
This is the second time that we've passed it. So maybe the Maybe the second time's a charm. I'm not sure, but we hope so. And it passed overwhelmingly.
Is that going to be veto proof?
Yes.
Okay.
So it passed by enough numbers in the House that unless people flip flop, we will have more than enough to override a veto. We have a margin of like 6 votes over what we would need to override a veto. That's huge.
But based on the calls we get from listeners and just our interaction with them, I would say, and I'm not saying this is exclusive, but 3 big items that I think conservatives in North Carolina are concerned with. One, reining in the powers of the governor, his emergency powers. Keith Kidwell and I have talked about this numerous times on the program. 2, election integrity. And 3, this social justice and critical race theory in our schools.
And we have addressed all 3 of those issues in a very clear and a very strong way. Of course, we passed legislation to rein in the governor's powers. We were not able to get enough votes, though, to override that. But fortunately, things are at least moving forward now to getting the state reopened. Again, the challenge now is getting people to work.
Right.
The critical race theory issue, we do not need to allow a curriculum that basically teaches students that America is this bad, evil place, right? In a full, comprehensive understanding of the history of this nation, the history of this state, you want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. You want to talk about all of it. You want to be balanced. But this notion that the premise that's being taught to these school children is somehow that is this notion of everything being defined by race and racial strife, and that there's a racist motive behind everything. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's not historically accurate. It's not correct. And it's nothing but some far left demagoguery where they're trying to brainwash folks. It's not right. And then the third thing you talked about, which had to do with the
election integrity.
The election integrity. We passed legislation in the House already. It's over in the Senate that would ban these collusive settlement agreements. Remember what happened last year was we have great laws on the books in North Carolina, but they tried to use a thing, get a far left group, right, Democratic group, to sue a Democratic Board of Elections represented by a Democratic Attorney General, the board appointed by a Democratic governor. Guess what happened, Tom? They were able to come to an agreement. Imagine that. Well, of course, Phil Berger and I said, not so fast. We filed suit in federal court and were successful in getting a lot of that rolled back. But this law would make clear they could never, ever try to do some collusive settlement like that to go around and just try to find a way to upend state law. That's not right, and that's unfair, and that's what undermines integrity in elections.
I talk to people all the time, and they look at the upcoming midterms as well as the next presidential election, and they say we're quite confident that Republicans will prevail if we have honest, fair elections. Do you think that is enough? Just preventing this collusion.
I do, because right now, number one thing we do in North Carolina is we have paper ballots. A lot of the states where there were problems, they don't have paper ballots,
or they're destroyed since then.
Exactly. So we have that. That's a critical part. We also have the protections put in place about requiring signatures, not allowing these just random drop boxes for the voting by mail. We have great protections in place, and if those are followed, Tom, we'll be fine. And I'm gonna tell you, at the end of the day, the voters are seeing what's happening with the far left. They're seeing what President Biden's doing. This crazy, people wondered, is he going to be kind of moderate? Is he going to be centrist? That question got answered really quickly. They have gone to the far left. I mean, you would think Bernie Sanders was kind of like off the fringe. I think they're trying
to.
He
is, by the way.
But get this, they're trying to out Bernie apparently. I mean, this is like the United States of Vermont or something.
When Bernie Sanders is reining them in, you know how bad it's gotten.
It is. And so the voters are not going to stand for it. The voters of this state will not stand for it. And I will make a prediction right here on radio, recorded and everything. We're going to get back a supermajority in the House, a supermajority in the Senate. I think you'll see a statewide sweep of your judicial races as well, and we'll hold the U.S. Senate. And I think the congressional races will go very well. So I think the left has gone way too far, and a lot of them, if you get them to honestly say something, will admit it.
Well, the fact that you're starting to get on some of these bills veto-proof majorities means Democrats. I don't know if it's their conviction or if they're saying I want to get reelected. But either way, they're starting to come over on some of these issues.
I mean, exactly. There are a lot of Democrats, some who would be even considered liberal, who are going, this is crazy. We've got to do something. We've got to rein this in. And they're joining us and voting on some very common sense, practical legislation because, they love their state more than they love their party. And we all should be that way. We should all want what's best for this state. Benny
Hardy, Tom Lamprecht, and House Speaker Tim Moore. Benny?
Speaker Moore, one thing that a lot of my friends, and most of my friends are conservative and are voters, they talk about, hey, we're not Eastern Europe, or we're going to have vaccine passports. You guys did something down on that this week, I believe.
We dealt with that head on. It was actually last week, but we passed legislation to say we will not allow and require vaccine passports in this state. State government cannot require that, cannot mandate that, and to make it very, very clear that we're not going to stand for that. Something is so. Here's what strikes me. You get folks on the left who talk about choice of their body, and they're the same ones that want to tell you, you got to get a vaccine. Are you kidding? I got a vaccine. A lot of people got a vaccine. But you know what? It was my choice to do so, and that's the way it should always be.
Right. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to get vaccine, go for it.
Absolutely.
But don't put a gun to my head and saying you have to.
And look, some people look better with the mask on. Just saying.
And for some reason, the News and Observer's not talking about that a whole lot. So you guys don't get too much press up there. But anyway, I think listeners and our voters will really like that. But
Speaker, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks. And to your listeners out there, look, you're getting the truth here. You're getting all the facts. They're lucky they're able to pick you guys up on the radio. It's absolutely amazing. I'll send you a bill later, okay?
I appreciate it.
Appreciate
Stay
it.
with us, Benny, and I'll be right back.
And we're on location at one of my favorite places in the whole planet because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Passalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also. From the bar to the two dining areas. You got two different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
Yeah, we have two rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Marabello's and the great pizza that you get at Marabello's, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. Come see them at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
Top Dog Academy is Eastern North Carolina's complete dog training facility. Top Dog provides an excellent environment for dogs of all ages with training services and work week daycare. Top Dog is located on Highway 43 South, just 4 miles from Bells Fork, and features a comfortable, healthy environment and a spacious facility for daycare and a brand new, beautiful facility for training. Call 752-8215 or visit TopDogOnline.com.
Come on out Highway 43 South to Top Dog Academy, where we know dogs.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Mask wearing.
Wear a mask.
We must use masks.
Wear a mask.
Mask works.
Have you heard?
If you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
We have all longed for this moment.
And from this moment on,
I think it's a great day.
we'll continue to unmask
Let me repeat.
the stories of the day.
If you are fully vaccinated,
Welcome back in, everybody. Tom Lamprecht, Benny Hardy, Clark Willis. We're coming to you live from the North Carolina State Convention, the Republican Party Convention, and we're joined right now by our state treasurer, Dale Falwell. Dale, welcome back in. It's the last time you were with us. We were in studio. We're at the convention, but good to have you with us.
It's always good to be in Greenville, and especially good today. We were able to bring some good news to Greenville. We always talk about unfunded liabilities and things of that nature, but we actually delivered some cash today.
I saw that. 7,000 was it?
To the city of Greenville, who had money just like many of your listeners have money at nccash.com.
Now, obviously, you did a little digging to find that extra $7,000. Where was it? I mean, it was just unclaimed dollars that Greenville was owed?
It was cash from Nationwide Insurance, Staples, and several other vendors who attempted to send a check to the city of Greenville over some period of time, but they never got it. And the reason we got Greenville is that we just did a check presentation to the city of Charlotte for $13,000.
Wow.
And the city manager here saw what happened in Charlotte and said, we need to look and see if Greenville has any money.
Well, all those Democrats down at the city council, what are they going to do when they see the Republican treasurer coming in handing out money?
Well, you know, at the treasurer's office, there's no Democrat and Republican money. It's all green.
I bet they'll find a way to spend it.
You think? How is the fiscal situation for North Carolina?
I wear this lapel pin that says NC, which obviously stands for North Carolina, but it really stands for nothing compares. But Speaker was on the show just a few moments ago, and it's something I wish somebody would have told me when I was younger, and that is if you do what you're supposed to do during the semester, the final exam's not so difficult. I wish I'd learned that at a younger age. And what's happened during the semester of the last 10 years in the General Assembly is they've been living within their budget, balancing budgets, building rainy day funds, building surpluses, building unemployment trust funds, and to prepare us for something that no one could have foreseen, which is called COVID. So when I say nothing compares, I would not trade places with any other state treasurer in the United States.
Wow, that's pretty positive rhetoric.
But it's because of discipline and what's happened over the last 10 years with fiscal conservatism.
But you got a lot of pushback as you're trying to implement your policies.
Well, my policies are sometimes different than the policies of the General Assembly. We have a responsibility at the Treasurer's Office on behalf of those that teach, protect, and serve to not only keep the pension plan fully funded, one of the strongest in the country, if not the world, because nearly 1 out of 10 adult North Carolinians depend on this, those that teach, protect, and serve. But we're trying to rein in runaway health care cost.
Yeah.
And simply what we're trying to do is to get rid of secret contracts, tell people what the quality and the value of what they're getting, and push the power down to them.
How does it make you feel when you have busted your butt to make sure that we're solvent here in North Carolina, and you see what our president is doing with these trillions of dollars he is deciding to give away, but mixed in with all that are states receiving huge checks to bail them out for their incompetence, just the terrible way that they run their states.
It's a deep concern to me. I attended Winston-Salem State and UNC Greensboro, and they taught me at those institutions that there's only 3 ways that debt goes away. Either you pay it back, you default on it, or it gets inflated away. 2 of those 3 options aren't very good. I am obviously very concerned as the keeper of North Carolina's public purse about the federal spending and the ultimate impact it could have, especially on inflation, because inflation hits different parts of our population differently, but inflation is very, very bad for lower and fixed income people of North Carolina. They get hurt the worst.
As you look at what's happening, in fact, I read an article just today that said by the end of the year, we could be looking at double-digit inflation. I don't think you got to go back to Jimmy Carter, I think, to find it that high. Just your opinion, do you think this is deliberate? Do you think they're trying to inflate away this debt?
I don't think they're trying to inflate it away, but the speaker just talked a moment ago, and as same thing I observed coming down here today is that there's nowhere in North Carolina that you can go to that doesn't have help wanted signs.
Yeah.
And inflation is the cost of money, the cost of labor, and the cost of material. And we all know what's happening to the cost of air conditioning units and everything else at Lowe's Hardware. We all know what's happening to the cost of labor. You can't get it even at any cost. And the only thing holding it down right now is the cost of money. And the cost of money is near zero. And I suspect that's getting ready to change.
By the way, before I let you go, I do want to just say it's good to have you here. You had a pretty rough battle with COVID, didn't you?
I did. Last March, I'm now told I had about a 20% chance of living with COVID before people really knew what to do. I was one of the first people anybody ever heard of who had it, much less be hospitalized with it or in intensive care with it. And when you're being given 8 units of oxygen and your blood oxygen level is 82, Dr. Murphy will tell you you're not in a good situation. And but for the grace of God and some caretakers who squozed my hand and prayed with me, I'm here with you today. And it's what Muhammad Ali always says: don't count the days, but make every day count.
Yeah.
And that's what I continue to do as the keeper of the public purse on behalf of those that teach, protect, and serve. And glad to be with all of you today. And thank you for informing the people of this area, not just affirming what they already feel about a subject. And another valuable reason to listen to your show is for them to go to nccash.com and punch up their name, their maiden name, their kids' names, their business name. There's 100 Rotary clubs that have things at nccash.com.
Well, what's the total? You told me in the hallway. What was the total amount in there?
912 million. You're
912 million.
And it's not a gimmick. The money got there because somebody mailed you a check that either you didn't get or you didn't cash.
Wow. And
this could be a rent deposit, the last paycheck. We just gave $29,000 to a person who had given his goddaughter $100 worth of Paramount stock 40 years ago and wrote on the stock certificate, because you'll be a star one day. Paramount stock was bought up by Coca-Cola and it split 10 for 1. So that $100 that he gave his goddaughter is now worth $29,000.
Wow. A fellow CPA is here. Got a question for you.
Well, a good example of that, it's, say, for instance, I look up and see my dad's name. He's passed away 15 years ago, and of course, his estate's long been settled. What's the process of that as far as investigating that?
Well, thank you for asking. Sorry for your loss. People can go to nccash.com. If your last name's Falwell, we've been here all of our lives. But there's not many Falwell, so you don't even have to put a city. But it'll tell you, if it's under $50, it'll tell you the amount. And the reason is it's public record. We gave $600,000 last year to a lady who was the beneficiary of a life insurance policy. No one had ever told her. So if it's over 50, we don't tell you, because property finders will send you a letter and say, give us a 20% commission to collect this. There's no charge to go to nccash.com or to claim. But to specific to your question, people can reach out and figure out if it's how much over $50 it is. And then if it's worth it, they can go to the clerk of courts, who we're trying to work with to simplify this very process. And we're trying to work with them, with the clerk of courts, so that if there's a estate needs to be open, you don't take all the money to NC Cash just to pay the estate opening fees.
I'm going to call you Dr. Falwell.
Well, my initials are DR, but you got another doctor getting ready to come up on the stage here in a minute.
So their website again is
nccash.com. Now, the official word is the Escheats Division, but I used to stutter, and I'm advised not to use that word on the radio because it could come out incorrectly.
Yeah. We're going to take another time out. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Dr. Greg Murphy, Congressman Greg Murphy, and get a viewpoint of what's going on up in Washington, D.C.
Break the chain. Eat global. Tiebreakers.
Hey, this is Hank Hinton back here at Full Service Flooring in Winterville. I'm here today with Corey Little, who's the operations manager here at Full Service Flooring. Corey's been here 6 months, but you've been in construction a long time. Tell us about what you do here at Full Service Flooring.
Yeah, I got over here about 6 months ago. I've been in construction for, like I said, a little over 20 years, and I've known Tim for a long time now, and he's brought me over here to see what new kind of things I can bring to the store and to our customers. And I'm in charge of scheduling and I don't know what else. I'm in charge of everything. It seems like we work together as a team and try to pull it all together. I might do a measure one day and do a commercial floor the next day, but we just kind of all work together and pull it all together at one time.
So what's new in flooring? What is the hot new thing?
The hot new thing is LVP or LVT, depending on what you're looking for, which look you're looking for. It's a waterproof product. It's absolutely fantastic. You can't really beat it.
A lot cheaper than hardwoods?
It is definitely a cost-effective alternative to hardwoods, yes, sir.
So, Corey, how is business right now?
And business is good. Despite the pandemic, we're still seeing a lot of new customers in the store, and we get an opportunity to introduce our products in a lot of different situations right now.
Corey, you've got a lot of experience in the construction industry. How is that helping you here with people, helping people with flooring here at Full Service Flooring?
Sure. I try to take the experiences that I've gained over my time in construction to help apply that to the flooring, whether it be with what the structure is made out of, the subfloor that we're going over top of, or maybe even just how it coordinates with your kitchen cabinets in construction or in your bathroom and how the tub and everything all ties together.
And a customer can just come here and see you anytime?
Absolutely. We're here 6 days a week, and we just love to see a new customer in here anytime. They can always call us and schedule something with us so we can make sure we have our time allotted for them.
Corey, thank you so much. That's Corey Little here at Full Service Flooring. Come see these guys. They're on Tilco Drive in Winterville, 756-9308 and fullserviceflooring.com.
In North Carolina, we get up before the sun rises and stay up into the wee hours of the night. We believe in working hard and playing harder. Behind every meal, there's a farmer, and behind every farmer, there's got to be NC, the official state identity program for North Carolina agricultural products. Look for the Got to Be NC logo wherever you shop or eat, and you'll know you're getting a quality product grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina.
It's not the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party.
Talking about what matters.
It's the Republican Party versus an organized crime syndicate.
On Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Here's Tom Lamprecht with more news and views.
Welcome back in, everyone. Tom Lamprecht, Benny Hardy, Clark Willis, and we are coming to you live from the North Carolina Republican State Convention, where things are going to be hopping here over the next 24 hours. Donald Trump will be speaking tomorrow night. He'll be the keynote speaker. Kristi Noem will be coming in from South Dakota, if she can find a place to stay tonight. Apparently, they run out of hotel rooms, and she'll be speaking at the luncheon tomorrow. Right now, we are happy to be joined with Greg Murphy, Dr. Greg Murphy, Congressman Greg Murphy. Which do you prefer, doctor or congressman?
It's funny, Tom. My office staff asked me that when I first came in. They said, which should I prefer? And I said, let's just look at approval ratings. Number one is nurses, number 2 and 3 are doctor, pharmacists, and bottom at the bottom is congressmen.
That's a good point.
So they turn around and they say, yes, Dr. Murphy. So I figure I've been a physician a lot longer than
There's a lot of truth to that, for sure. Doctor has a little bit more nobility, probably spent longer time trying to get your doctorate than your
more than campaigning.
Yeah.
So
boy, speaking of doctor though, this whole thing with the Wuhan virus and the Biden administration coming in and basically shutting down what Donald Trump started in the investigation of where did this virus start from, and now we're looking at Dr. Fauci as if he's divine and he can do no wrong. It appears to me that the Democrats are just going to try to block any investigation. Thank goodness for Rand Paul, who has really led the charge on this. Where do you see this going? I mean, with the Dems in charge, we got a tie in the Senate. Nancy and Pelosi and the Dems are in charge of the House. I think that will change in 18 months, but where do you think, are we going to get anywhere until the majority in the House changes?
Well, Tom, I put on my physician's hat last January, and I read a lot of medical literature. I just read a lot, and I read, and I can't remember if it was in the British Journal of Medicine or if it was in Lancet the first week in February. I read an article about what was
this
going
year
on
or a year ago?
last year.
Okay.
Last year, and I picked up the phone, and it concerned me enough. I picked up a phone, and I know a friend who's the head of infectious disease at the University of Nebraska. We're the Ebola unit. And I said, James, is this for real? What's going on? And he said, are you sitting down? I said, yeah. And so he told me, he says, this is for real. This is what's going to happen if we do this, this, and this, and this. And so obviously that's what happened. But that said, and I said this then, and I'll say it again, and I've said it that there is no way that you will ever convince me that that virus did not come out of that lab. It's just too many coincidences. And we knew that they were weaponizing and doing weaponizing research in biological weapons. The United States said we're going to back off. We're the only, major power that did that. And so you'll never convince me that otherwise. Well, Fauci put out no, 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 and so everybody followed his gospel. Well, now that's eroded basically to bone. And how much he knew, what he knew, and when he knew is the real question. Did he do something nefariously? I don't think he did something nefariously, but I do think he was not transparent. I do think he was not forthcoming. And he's been, I'm the vice chair of the Doctors Caucus in Washington, D.C. And we affectionately call him Dr. Inconsistent because one day it's one thing, one day it's another thing. And are we ever going to get to the root of the problem? I think the answer to that is no, because the Chinese government will not allow it. They will not allow us true access into what's going on. And there's an article, and I looked for it the other day, of a gal who was in that lab. And I read the article, and believe me, it was pretty meaty stuff that she went back and she showed not genealogically, but she showed structurally DNA why this was the case, why this was not something that came out of nature. And it was above my chemical head, but I believe it was. I believe it was constructed. Now, did it come out on purpose? I don't think so. I don't think, even though the Chinese wouldn't care if they lost 100 million people, I don't think they did that. I think it came out accidentally, but it was obviously a big cover-up attempt.
Right.
They shut down flights in their own country. And it took Donald Trump on the 29th of January to shut down flights internationally. Of course, Biden called him a xenophobe at the time.
He was vilified.
Yeah, and so it's the right thing. He did the right thing. And as time goes back, I think history will show us that Donald Trump, despite his personality at times when some people have a problem with that, was doing the right thing in this. And he followed Fauci. Fauci pretty much dictated what he did. And so, but it was right. It's right when Biden does what Fauci does, but it was wrong when Trump did it. And so, are we ever going to get to the bottom to answer your question? I think it's going to be highly doubtful.
As you look at what the Biden administration is doing, changing gears here a little bit, apparently they've got a printing press that prints up $1,000 bills up there and $10,000 bills. It's mind-boggling how they are wanting to give away money faster than we can borrow it. I mean, it is mind-boggling. It's disappointing. It's going to cause hyperinflation. I'm not an economist, but Dale Folwell was just here, and he's looking at it as, we're going to have hyperinflation and when I say hyper, double digit.
Yeah.
But doesn't seem to be any desire amongst the Democrats to even consider reining this in.
They, when I think things have gotten crazy enough and that they can't get any more insane, the Democrats just do something next that's that way. And it's just, they have no concept of fiscal responsibility. And yes, we passed a bipartisan, $3 trillion rescue package. And we did that, I believe, the right reason to stabilize this nation. But what they've done ever since he's come in office is unconscionable. Because we talk about our children and our grandchildren. Well, we now have to start talking about our great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
And, as Ross Perot said, the great sucking sound when NAFTA came through, there's the great sucking sound of the future of our great-grandchildren and our grandchildren. And so, until we gain the House back in 2022, all this nonsense that the Democrats are putting out, so divisive, the critical race theory, the nonsense that comes out of that, and all these other things where we're not being equitable. Well, that's another term for Marxism. Okay, it's just let's be very plain and simple and cut through to the truth to it. There's equality in this company and opportunity. If you want it, you can do it. Some people have to want it more. There's no doubt about that. There are barriers in certain types of people and certain demographics, without a doubt. But this is the best country on earth. They're teaching our kids to hate our country, and they're teaching the kids to hate the future of our country, and they want to change that. And God forbid, I didn't do this. I didn't come out of being, a full-time surgeon, which I love to do, to just keep my hands tied. I came out to make a difference, and that's what we're trying to do.
It's got to be frustrating, though. I mean, you're making a difference in Eastern North Carolina, and I've said to you before, really deeply appreciate what you're doing, what you're standing for. But you got to feel at times, am I banging my head against the wall?
Tom, I will tell you, in all transparency, the answer is yes. You know, I have a surgical mindset. We see a problem, we diagnose a way to fix it, we do it, we implement it, we move on and go on to the next problem. And that's just not the way it is in Congress, and it's not the way it is in the minority. And I will tell you, you know, my days are long. I start around, you know, maybe 5 in the morning or so, and then sometimes I'll be sitting in my office at 10:30, 11 at night, and I'll look out and I'll go, what the hell, honestly, pardon my French, what the hell am I doing here? Spinning my wheels.
yeah.
And I have to think about our children, our
Yeah.
grandchildren, our great grandchildren.
Well, that's why we do this
Um,
program. I mean,
yeah.
it's a drop in the bucket, but a lot of drops are put together.
That's
to,
exactly
to
right. We
accomplish
have
something.
to care about the future of this nation, and we have to draw a line in the sand and say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Because who's benefiting now? The Chinese,
Oh, yeah.
the Russians, the North Koreans. They're benefiting from our internal division.
There was an article out just today talking about how there have now been new emails revealed that Hunter Biden, from I guess it was from his laptop, was it, Benny? Anyway, they've discovered new emails that there is a nexus between Hunter Biden, Burisma, and making overtures to the Ukrainian government that we can get you, a special deal with Hillary Clinton, thinking she was going to be the next president. You know, we'll give you access to the Hillary Clinton. Is that you think that's going to go anywhere, or is that dead?
You know, Tom, I think this is the most fraudulent party that we've ever seen. You know, no, sometimes the Republican Party's done some bad things.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt, we're human.
Right.
But this is the most fraudulent party. You look at what Hunter Biden's done. You look at what Hillary's done and gotten away with, literally with, you know, some people would say literally with murder. But is it going to be able to go anywhere? This is going to be hard. It's going to be hard if Pelosi controls the House, and if, God forbid, Schumer controls the Senate. This is why that 2022 seat, Richard Burr's seat, is so critical that we keep that as a Republican. And, you know, Tom, we have to turn to how you win statewide and nationwide elections. That's with unaffiliates, who generally tend to be conservative.
Right.
But we have to show them the folly of their ways when they voted for Democrats in the past. And I think Biden and the administration have overplayed their hand. They've overplayed their
big
hand.
time.
And
I
I
agree.
think, I pray that we're able to be rational enough that we show people that. You know, Republicans vote rationally, I think. I think Democrats vote emotionally. And elections
Yeah,
tend to
I agree with
be
that.
emotional things. We have to appeal to their rational sense, but also show the emotion of what they're doing to this country.
Well said. If you have an opportunity to continue on, please do, and don't give up. Don't stop banging your head against that wall. We need some head bangers up there.
Well, I'm not a quitter. I mean, I would have never made it through the years of medical school and surgical residency and the like. But I'm a goal-oriented person, and I know what the goal is. And anybody knows me, they know that I will do whatever it takes to, within moral rights, to achieve that goal.
When you look at your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, do the majority of them truly believe, and this is an opinion question,
Yeah.
truly believe what the Democratic Party is putting forth, or are they useful idiots, or are they actually a part of the problem?
No, and you know, Tom, I think that's a very insightful question. I was on an elevator, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago with 2 Democrats who I really didn't know, older ones, and they said, we're in a room we're the only adults in the room. No, we have on both sides of this political spectrum now, people that are sensationalists, that want to make it about screaming, want to make it about, you know, me and, you know, I'm this, that, and the other stuff. And unfortunately, they're the media darlings.
Right.
They're all about the personality rather than the policy. We have to get back to the policy. You know, we have screamers on our side that, you know, are not about making good policy. That's why I'm in politics. I'm not in here for personality. I want to be famous to my 3 children. That's it. I want to make sure that they have a future and that we're able actually to put forth a plan that they have a good future and just an opportunity like you and I had.
Right.
You know, we grew up, I believe, in good times.
Right.
But if you follow the Democrats' plan right now, we're on a way towards war, not only civil, but international in some other ways. And it's tragic for our country, but we have to stop listening to the screamers. And I say that on both sides, but actually appeal to good people that have common sense and rational thought.
Well said. Well said. Congressman Murphy, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate
Great,
it. Have
great.
a great convention.
Thank you for the
It's
honor.
nice to be hosting here in Greenville.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
You know, I said today when we started out, I said it's nice to actually see everybody's full face.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten to the point, and I can just say this doctor's viewpoint. July 1st, I really think we ought to pull the masks off. I think, or pull the scab off. If you've gotten vaccinated, great. If you've chosen not to, that's your right.
That seems
That's
to
your
be
right.
the
But you know what?
mantra,
We
yeah.
need to move on.
Yeah.
We need to move on.
Thank
We
you.
can't continue to live in fear. This is not going to go away on its own. But you've made personal decisions, and it's time to move on.
By the way, Speaker Moore was mentioning that they have passed on a state level the ban on the vaccine, that you can't be
Vaccine passport.
you can't have a passport that you've got to prove that I've had a vaccine in order to do certain things.
Yeah.
Have the Republicans considered that on a
Oh, you mean
federal
on
level?
on the full federal level? No. I mean, there's been talk about it. The problem is Pelosi won't ever take it up. She'll never take it up. Do I think that's right? No. We don't do it for having a flu vaccine. And yes, this is a more virulent and much more dangerous vaccine in certain populations. Do we need to get to that point? No. And the crazy thing is, over in the Senate, they don't have to wear a mask, but on the other side of the building, we have to wear one for Pelosi. So it's kind of crazy because
Well, you don't have to look at her face.
Yeah, because that's well, then we all turn to stone. We know what Medusa did, but that's a whole different thing. So, but yeah, it's good that it's half covered up. That's kind of bad. But I mean, reality is reality. So anyway,
Your secret's good with us.
it's all good.
We're going to take another time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Great, thank you.
Anything could happen ever since I met you. Let me take you dancing.
Introducing Pepsi Mango.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Turn that old vehicle into cash when you cash in your trade-in at Greenville Toyota. Get up to 125% of book value for your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Trade for Camry, $189 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
My name is Dr. Neeti Armistead, Chief Medical Officer for Vidant Health. The following simple steps will help keep you and your community safe. Stay home as much as possible, wear a mask when out in public, avoid large gatherings, practice social distancing, and wash hands often. It's also important not to delay needed care. Vidant has taken important steps to provide you and your family with a safe environment. Learn more about COVID-19 and Vidant's response. Call 252-847-8000 or visit vidanthealth.com/COVID-19.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Cash in your trade-in now at Greenville Toyota. We need your vehicle, and it's never been worth more. Get cash for your vehicle today. Up to 125% of book value. Then trade into a new Corolla, $159 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
This one's for everyone who spends the amount of time it would take to watch a movie, agreeing on which movie to watch. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
I won't give up the ship.
Talking about what matters.
This country is too great to throw over to communism. I love it.
Here's Tom Lamprecht with more news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome in, everybody. Benny Hardy, Tom Lamprecht, and our special guest right now at the North Carolina State Republican Convention is our Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson. Mark, welcome in. I'm going to let you get right on top of that mic. And hey, I got to tell you, you have never turned us down. Every time we call you up and say, hey, can we get you on the air, or can you come by the studio, you've always said yes. That is a rare thing. Well, Republicans are better than Democrats, I'm sure, but but you're the best of the best as far as showing up. Do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, it's all about the folks out there. We want to try to get this message out as much as we can. That's the key behind it.
Did you ever think when you got up and made that speech in Greensboro about the gun show that that would lead to this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That night I had absolutely no idea what God had in store that night, but here I am. So it's a great story. It's one of those stories that we always say is, it's only happened in America and it can only happen with God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about what we see happening. I've been doing this program, hard to believe, 12, 13 years now. And I said from the get-go, the conservative movement will really have legs. We'll know it has arrived when we see Black Americans realize that conservative values are what needs to be embraced. It doesn't matter what your race, your background is, whether what you're, male, female, black, white, Indian. The conservative values are what makes sense.
Right.
Talk to me about the more and more we're seeing African Americans, Black Americans saying, you know what, I'm giving up on the Democratic Party. I realize that the conservative movement is where my values are.
Right. Well, one thing that we're begin to see a lot of is the fact that a lot of Black Americans are making the connection between the past and the present. And when I say that, what I mean is this. If you look back in the past, when Black Americans were voting Republican, when they were living by conservative principles, when they were, living by those ideologies, in the worst times in this country, when things were really bad, really were unjust and unfair for Black Americans, they were succeeding at the highest level still. Their neighborhoods were together. Their marriage rate was 75%. 2 parents in the house.
Actually, the intact family was stronger in the Black community than it was in the white community.
They were building schools and churches and homes and banks and all of those things. I like to say it like this. In the 1960s, when they embraced the Great Society program and the machinations of LBJ, to a large extent, the power was given away. And this ideology of victimization started to arise, this victim mentality. The more we see Black Americans begin to realize that they've been victorious in this country instead of victims in this country, the more of them you're going to see coming over to the conservative side.
And I know you've taken a strong stance against critical race theory, the social justice garbage that we see. It's just so prevalent in the public schools across this country. It's 180 degrees against what you were just talking about. It is promoting victimization.
Absolutely. And see, that's the problem. We have made such great strides in this country. We've come such a long way. It hadn't been that long ago in this country that we had slaves on our shore. Yeah. Slavery was a part of this nation not too long ago.
Great-great-grandfather.
We have overcome that in such a short period of time. You look at the way Black Americans have succeeded at the highest levels of government, entertainment, business, medicine, all of those things. But now we've reached a point where we work together, we worship together, we sit down and we break bread together, we go out and we shop and do all these things together. And now we see these people who want to bring in programs that are not going to take us forward, they're going to move us backwards, not going to bring us together, but divide us. And we just can't allow that. We made absolutely too much progress to go backwards.
You started the Facts Task Force, and that is really designed for the education of our kids and give students and parents especially a chance to speak up, speak out, have a voice.
Right.
What kind of response are you getting on that?
We've got a great, gotten a great response. I have a great team of people in the office. They have gone through a lot of that information, and we are ready, just about ready to present that to the public and let folks know what we found while we're doing this. And it's not, once we do that, it's not going to be over. This is just the beginning of the fight to wrench our schools away from the leftists who are trying to take control of it, and in some places have taken control of it. I've said this time and time again, one of the most important things that we have to do as conservatives is fight to take our schools away from these leftists who have used it for their own personal playgrounds for so many years. This is just the beginning of the fight. This is just a statement to let people know that this is happening, but we got a lot of work to do in that area.
Just today, the Georgia State Board of Education voted 11-2 to make sure that critical race theory is not taught in the public school system. We were talking to Speaker Moore earlier in the hour, and they have passed legislation. I don't think he said that was veto-proof, but they have passed legislation in the state of North Carolina.
Yes.
I'm assuming that our governor is probably going to veto that.
I would imagine that he would. Of course, I would hope that he wouldn't, but I can't see him not doing it. I hate to say this, but critical race theory and the things that surround that are right up his alley. That's how he panders to folks. That's his bread and butter. I'm not sure whether or not he believes in it or not, but I know he certainly believes it's going to be something that's going to help him to continue to succeed
Is the wind falling out of the sails of that rhetoric? Because, I mean, you're right. The Democrats have used that for decades.
Yes.
Is it starting to sound a little old?
It is. It is. When you hear the things like Joe Biden was just saying, Black Americans have great ideas, but unfortunately they don't have accountants and bankers and lawyers. Ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's the same old narrative over and over again. That you're too weak, you're too stupid, you need my help.
You can't get a voter ID.
Right. I call it paternal racism, and that's exactly what it is. The paternal racism we saw from LBJ is the same kind of paternal racism we're seeing from the Biden administration right now. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. And a lot of people are beginning to see it.
Benny?
Governor Robinson.
Governor Robinson.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Robinson, but
I like governor better.
But when you listen to the Democrat political pundits on television, you always hear, hey, the Republican Party is just full of a bunch of old white guys. But as I walk on this floor, I see diversity in youth, diversity in the way people look. But what else, in your mind, can the Republican Party do more to reach out to Black and brown America and to youth and to others, and do a better job of reaching out and reaching these people and get them to understand that, hey, the conservative values is your family values?
Right.
What more can the Republican Party do?
I've said this time and time again. I think the main thing the Republican Party can do is stop letting other people tell a story. Stop letting CNN tell the nation who we are, the world who we are. We need to tell our story. Our story is a story of fighting for freedom at every turn. It was the Republican Party that fought against slavery. It's the Republican Party that's standing up against abortion. It's the Republican Party that stood up to put this nation back together for its sovereignty during the Civil War. It's the Republican Party now that's standing up to make sure our border is secure so we can maintain our national sovereignty. It was the Republican Party that fought to give women the right to vote. It is the Republican Party now that's standing up for integrity in our voting laws and to make sure that our votes are secure and legal and ethical. The Republican Party has always been the party of freedom and equality, and it is now. We have not changed. We are the exact same as we were at our inception. We fight for the Republic, we fight for the Constitution, and we fight for freedom for everybody.
Did you guys record that? Because that's the message, I believe.
That's it. That's it. Do you write your own stuff?
I don't write anything. I very rarely write anything.
Well, you're speaking tonight. I don't. You do
Yes.
know that, you're right. You're
Yes,
speaking at
yes,
the dinner
yes,
tonight. Yes,
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Is it off the top of your head? I mean,
It's-
you gotta be contemplating what you're gonna say because you're a very articulate man.
It's just in there.
You just
It's
gotta shake
in
them and
there.
it comes out.
That's right. That's right.
So-
Like a salt shaker.
Speak from the heart.
So
right.
we got about a minute left. What's the future hold for Mark Robinson? I know a lot of people were pulling at your tugging at your coattails, hoping you'd run for the U.S. Senate,
Right,
and
right.
and I think you wisely said not
Right.
yet. But are you happy as being the lieutenant governor?
I am. I have a duty to fulfill in this office. We need to fulfill that duty before we move on to something else. Would not have been right to abandon this duty and to seek an office just because you can.
Right.
Because it looks like you can.
Right.
It's not about opportunity. It's about doing the right thing. And so we decided to stay put, do our work here and do the work we need to do for the people of North Carolina. As far as what is in store for me, I don't write the orders. I just carry them out. So,
Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Listen, we got to close things out here. We do appreciate the good folks at the North Carolina State Convention, Republican Party Convention, for allowing us to invade their territory. It's been a good program, Benny.
Yeah, good.
We got to run. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.